Hello, Chef Marcus Guiliano here, and I'm your chef on a mission. Today's mission is who should you listen to? Who should you take business advice from? Who should you take advice from? All right, so I've had lately, and it's been more than one person, it's been a few people lately, and saying, I can't believe you listened to that guy, or so-and-so told me don't listen to this guy. It was specifically somebody said, hey, don't listen to, I was told don't listen to Tai Lopez. Another person goes, hey, why are you listening to Gary, they actually said to me, why are you listening to Gary Vaynerchuk? And so this topic has been coming up a lot. So I want to address this topic of why you should not listen to Tai Lopez, Gary Vaynerchuk, Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone. Why should you not listen to any of those people or anybody else for that fact? So here is why you should not. Okay, if you are worth $5 million or more than Tai Lopez, of course, if you're worth more than Tai Lopez, don't listen to him. If you're worth $300 million, which Gary Vaynerchuk is worth, don't listen to him. If you're worth $460 million or more, then don't listen to Tony Robbins. These people probably are not going to add anything financially to your life, okay? That's the bottom line. But if you're not have the net worth of these guys, then I would suggest there might be something in there that they can tell you that'll help you improve your finances, your life, whatever it is. There might be something that they might have to say that you can actually take that out. I heard something interesting today about Gary Vaynerchuk, because he grew his father's business from $3 million to $60 million. And, and that was his like hard luck story, right? $3 million to $60 million. And what they were saying today was, this one person was, it's much harder to take a business from 0 to 3 million than 3 million to 30 million. And I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense, right? So Gary Vaynerchuk was handed his father's store, or told, to jump in and run this store in his 20s, in his early 20s, and the store's already doing $3 million. Now, when Gary Vaynerchuk first started out, now I'm a big Gary V fan, okay? I've watched a lot of those Wine Library TVs, but when Gary Vaynerchuk first started out, he was not getting organic traffic. I remember in Wine Spectator, in the magazine Wine Spectator, and I have a copy over here on the shelf of one of them, he was placing full page ads, and that's what you can do when your store's doing $3 million in revenue. He was placing full page ads to get people over to watch his YouTube channel, or his Vidler channel at the time, because YouTube wasn't really into doing more than 10-minute videos. So he was all over Vidler, Viddler, Vidler, and I still have an account with them. They're not much around anymore, or that prominent. A lot of people use Vimeo for the controls for their private websites and membership sites. Vimeo is really cool for that, and I'm sure Vidler is too. I should probably look into it again, because I have an online academy that I have private videos and that kind of stuff, and sales funnels that the videos I embed them in, and YouTube just doesn't quite work as well for that, because it's all public stuff basically, or more public, less controls. So every time somebody came to me and said, hey, the first question I say is when they say don't listen to Grant Cardone, I'm like, how much is Grant Cardone's net worth? And if they can't answer it, I'm like, then you have not done your research, as your net worth is not near Grant Cardone. So I tune into him and see what he's got to say, and maybe use just a little bit of that advice. So for any of you out there, and some people say, well, Tai Lopez is fake and this and that, and he rents cars and doing that. I gotta tell you, I saw Tai Lopez speak. I watched a lot of his videos. The psychology that he has about sales is amazing. I have some psychology majors that watch this stuff, and they're like, Marcus, he's good. The guy's studied. He's good. I mean, he has one of the most popular TEDx videos ever out there. TEDx talks out there. One of the most popular ones ever on reading a book a day. And that being a mentor for you. So if you don't like Tai Lopez or any of these guys, there's still chances that they're saying something extremely valuable. Who was it the other day? I think it was Tai Lopez I was listening to. He goes, if you're going to have an argument, when he has an argument, if he's prepared to have a really good argument with somebody, he needs to be able to argue on both sides, and educate himself on both sides of the story. So here's a good example. Vaccine, pro-vaccine, anti-vaccine. If you're a pro-vaccinator, all right, you better be able to go on the other side of the fence and be an anti-vaxxer and argue just as strong as both sides. And that's why I like Jacques Doubleday's work. Jacques Doubleday wrote a book, Into the Labyrinth. and he was interested about vaccines, and he went into this totally open-minded. Totally open-minded. It was like, I don't have a view either way. I'm not here to prove a single thing. Jacques Doubleday. I don't have a thing to prove a single thing here. I'm going to do some research on vaccines. And I got to tell you, his work, his citations, the history he quotes, where the studies you can go back and look at. That's the first book I tell people. Say, well, oh man, you got to be pro-vaccine. You've got to be pro-vaccine. I'm like, read Jacques Doubleday's book. The guy had zero agenda. 9 months he spent researching, and up came Into the Labyrinth, a book on vaccines. And if you read that book and you argue that side, I got to tell you, your total story is going to be different on the way you read vaccines. Now, that's how I am with health and a lot of things. I look at both sides, right? I look at both sides and say, okay, I know both sides of the story, and now I'm well able to argue. I've been like that way for years. When Tai Lopez said that, I'm like, bingo. To be able to argue your point, you must be able to argue on both sides just as well, to be fully educated. You have a lot of people out there that just argue on their emotions. That's it. They just argue on their emotions. I had this conversation with somebody the other day about the Titanic. I mean, we've all known, we've been taught about the Titanic, right? The Titanic sunk, whatever year it was, on its maiden voyage and this and that. That was not that ship's maiden voyage that sunk. That wasn't even the Titanic that sunk. Okay, you can just look at the ships, and there were different bows, 2 more bows or 2 less. There's this whole big thing. If you did research on was that really the Titanic that sunk? You'd be shocked. If you had any kind of an open mind, you could argue and say, hey, I'm going to give you an argument for why that was not the Titanic that sunk. A ship did sink. People did die. There was a boat out there that got mixed signals and couldn't save people, but that boat was out there for a reason, and it didn't get to the people in enough time, and maybe that boat was supposed to go down quick enough. But I can argue with this. I can argue or debate on that ship was not the Titanic that sunk based upon what I've done research on. I've done the other research too, because that's what I've been taught, right? So that's what makes somebody being a valuable to educating yourself and being valuable as far as being able to now hold yourself in a conversation or an argument or a debate, right? So if you don't like anything that Tai Lopez says, you cannot. How can you argue with that kind of philosophy? Be knowledgeable on both sides of the story before you this. Tai Lopez also said the other day in one of his videos, to be a true expert on something, I can yank you out of a crowd, put you on a stage, and give you a topic to talk on. And if you can talk for 20 minutes on a specific topic to a crowd and engage them, you're an expert on that topic, right? So as I'm telling people, I'm telling this person saying, oh, I shouldn't be listening to Tai Lopez. I'm like, so the person said, oh man, I shouldn't be listening to Tai Lopez because so-and-so, I shouldn't listen to Tai Lopez. I'm like, you need to make your own decision. Listen to what he has to say. I mean, I listen to a lot of doctors that I don't agree with their overall philosophy, but there might be 1 or 2 really cool things that they have to say that make sense, right? So that's the really awesome thing about about educating yourself, and so there's no better investment than education. Education is key, and by watching YouTube videos and doing your own Google search, stuff like that, there's a lot of bad information out there too. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of bad information, but the smarter you get, the quicker you'll be able to say, that's bad information. That's just bad and terrible advice. And this person's just a huckster. This person's just trying to sell a product or something. And don't get me wrong, Tai Lopez and all those other guys, Grant Cardone, they're out there selling products. That's how they make their money, right? That's how they make their living. And I'm selling products, so I'm giving away my book, and you pay the shipping, and there's upsells and one-time offers, and this and that, and then you go into my coaching program, my newsletter. So that's what I'm doing too. I'm doing the same exact thing that a lot of these guys are doing. We're all out here to make money, but you guys, a lot of you go to work and you punch a clock, you're doing the same exact thing. You're going to work to make money. So I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. Below, list some of the people that you like to listen to, whether they're health gurus or doctors or people that, business philosophers, things like that. Drop some comments below and let me know.